Fine, I'll do it. I'll play WoW.
So if I've never played WoW before, why am I going to play Wrath Classic now? Well, I've always wanted to, but I've never had the time.
But League of Legends is fine.
You have been slain.
Never mind that. The point is that I've been exposed to WoW content for many, many years. From the 2012-ish era of YouTubers like Jesse Cox, Total Biscuit, WoW Kendor, hell, even the Oxcast were originally a WoW channel back then. But I never got around to playing it. I made do with Hearthstone, other things, but recently, with Asmongold footing my recommended, as well as all these amazing videos by creators such as Pint, Captain Grimm, and especially Barney.
Where are the new video, Barney?
I just couldn't help myself any longer, because it's the friggin' Lich King, man. The most iconic character in Warcraft lore.
It's like the Lich King was like he was the last boss.
And with the fresh servers for Wrath, it's possibly the last time I can experience anything close to that old MMO experience of leveling and gearing alongside others in that similar, not burned out yet environment. And as someone who writes game-related fiction, links in description, I feel I'm about to miss out on a massive piece of gaming history forever. I just want to understand it. Like, I've watched videos, I've seen what happens, I know the skills, the enemies, the raids, the shiny loot drops and the golden glowy light of dinging, but... You ever watch Good Will Hunting? I finally did, recently. And you know the quote where he says, I can't learn anything from you, I can't read in some fucking book. Well, I've read the book on WoW, but it's not the same as experiencing it. So here we go. So this is Rootbeard. I went with Druid because I guess it's the flexibility of being able to choose between DPS, healing or tanking by switching forms. With that I figured I could basically do all the content with the class. And now that I think about it, my main in League is Bard, and Bard is slippery, he can heal, Bard can be built tanky, he can also deal decent damage. Picking Druid kinda makes sense, although I wasn't sure yet what spec I'd be. So anyways, I started leveling. And you know, it's kind of what I expected for the most part. A huge nostalgia and dopamine hit as I got to grips with the controls and my spells, but level 1 through 10 wasn't really that interesting. Except maybe for the random alliance wandering about the zone. Yeah, no thanks. But that's not really fair. There's a lot to be said for the deep sense of immersion you get as the game plugs you in, even at level 1, into the heart of a seamless world. Even in this contained starting area, you have so many things going on. Gnolls and mercenaries, harpies and quillboars, and all the numerous wildlife. For a nature-loving race, the Taurans sure want me to kill a lot of animals. And although I'm sure all this detail and excessive early questing can get tedious with subsequent playthroughs, the first time, seeing above the cresting hills and knowing you can walk to the other side, the lifts and the peaks of Thunderbluff and the greetings of the wandering guards as you click around, it's pretty nice. And that's the most nostalgic thing for me, the sounds. It's kind of insane how many of these I instantly recognized.
What brings you here?
I've been expecting you.
And it really helped me feel at home. At 10 though, I was excited to pick up my first Druid form, and this is where I ran into my first hurdle. This end part of this questline, Body and Heart, requires you to find a Moonkin Stone between the borders of Mulgore and the Barrens. Now, I don't know what the fuck a Moonkin Stone looks like, but I swear I went up and down this area more than 5 fucking times, going left, right, narrowly avoiding the higher fucking mobs, walking up around what seemed like a mountain path until I caved in. I googled it. And it was right here this whole time. Who cares? I got bear form, and there's still high level alliance around me.
Is there a bunch of druids and rogues going around? Oh my god, what am I doing?
Starting with questing in the Barrens, I came upon a warrior called Chipper. Since we were around the same level and killing the same mobs, I invited him to a group. I let him lead the way since he seemed to know where everything was, and I got to have my first experience in like a small duo group dynamic, and we got to pull lots of like big groups of mobs, which was fun, because I could act like both as a healer and go into bear form and do consistent damage if I needed to. There was a problem though. Chipper insisted on fighting higher level mobs, constantly, which got us into situations.
Why? I feel like he's leading me into like death. There's no way this is efficient. Oh fuck. Oh fuck. Wait, what the frick? Get out of there, buddy. Oh buddy, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Why are we here?
Which was funny because although he was the tank of the party, he had much worse armor and gear than I did. But we kept going, searching around for raptor heads, which were somehow a rarity, like we lopped them off during the fight and lost them in the tall grass. And my bag was now beginning to really fill up with leather.
That bag is full.
Druids wear leather, right? And as the evening went on, and we fell into the quiet rhythm of finding raptors, killing them without drops, and moving on, Chipper began to open up. Turns out, he was Ukrainian, with very limited time to play because of the current war rationing electricity. Inventory full, and still only 11 out of 12 raptor heads somehow. We refueled at the crossroads, and went on to find some new quests, and this is where Chipper really started to get talking.
You know, when it's no electricity, you start to realize that how much it's part of your life.
Talking to him, this situation really struck me. We are two people who have no real connection before, across the world, bonding over hunting decades-old MMO mobs. There's just something really heartwarming about it to me, that we can have this solace away from reality. So, as we tore through centaur camps, we talked about playing music. He told me about the quest he out on. I told him why I only started playing WoW now. Then, while fighting woodland harpies, Chip told me his WoW story, that he used to raid with a fun guild, but being a Russian guild, they kicked him out when the war started. So he took a few months break. It's such a crazy thought to me that even in this fantasy landscape, real life prejudice still refuses to fuck off. Like, imagine telling a long-time guildie who you know well to piss off because your country decided to wage war that day. Are people that hopelessly nationalistic? So I said, I hope we raid together someday. But Chip said that raiding wasn't the best way to spend time in WoW. So, curious, I asked him what he'd like to do. And he said, farm golds. Farm gold? Farm gold. Mance. Then I suggested fishing. Both of us swore off PvP, but, you know, I think we both had it wrong. The best way to spend time in WoW from tonight's experience was with others, but sadly our time together would soon end.
I don't know why, but I still have light and electricity.
Or maybe not, which was good because after all this time I had only gotten 4 out of 8 harpy talons. What the fuck?
Let's farm.
So we killed all the harpies, and we moved on to the centaurs, and okay, let's try that again. And so we killed all the Kalkar, I got my last raptor head finally, and our inventory's full again, so we headed back. Oh hey, he's in Hearthstone. And since we've leveled up a bit now, we went back to Thunderbluff to get new abilities. Now, paying to learn skills in classic WoW seems like a divisive topic, but I think there's something really ingenious about it, something that makes it feel earned. There's an interesting conflict here, especially as more options open up, and unless you're loaded with gold, you have to make choices about what you need versus what skill upgrades would be nice to have. That's why I didn't have res earlier. Classic's balance doesn't have it quite right here, but it makes me think about a game where this could be a more fleshed out but also wide, classless concept. If you were paying to learn abilities anyway, why limit it to one class? Why not pay from different trainers who know different skills from different varied classes? And what about the power of the economy? Could trainers charge more or less depending on the demand or difficulty to teach? I think it's a super cool idea, and please leave a comment if you know of a game like that. I'd love to try it. Or maybe I'll just write a book about it. Back to Druid though. I had another class quest to do for poison cleansing or some shit.
Come to Moonglade, bitch.
I asked Chip if there were warrior quests, and he said that there were. He just skipped them. I wish I could do that. But with that done and paid for, we went back to Crossroads for our final round of questing.
The good news is, I have revived for when you die.
Finishing off the Harpy quest line, slapped and skinned a few cats, and with a little dance party. It was goodbye for now. Ending this episode at level 16. For the next session, I'm determined to try my first dungeon, so until then, I hope you all enjoyed this first part of my journey to kill the Lich King.